Hey YouTube, Dark God back again with day 7 of my 31 Days of October Horror Movie Challenge. Doing it through DVDTalk.com as well as Letterboxd.com. Last night I only watched 2 films. One of them is a classic, obviously, is Friday the 13th. I think anybody who's a horror fan has at one time or another seen this movie. It's even gone into other films as far as just part of a pop culture reference in horror films and in general. Scream used it as one of their questions in the opening of that movie. But the original Halloween, I think it's a very good movie as far as a horror movie. When you compare it to the other Friday the 13th, I think a little bit's taken away because it kind of is a standalone film. Outside of the last, spoiler, outside of the last 20 seconds, it's a different film, different character than all the other films. And I think that plays into it a little bit where when you watch all the Friday the 13th films, and these are the movies I grew up on, renting all the time, and you find yourself liking later ones than the earlier ones, but I think the first one is a better made film because I think more went into it, whereas the later ones were just, hey, let's pump it out and get another movie onto the theaters and everything and capitalize on this and make some money. Whereas the first film was, we're going to make a good film here, we're going to borrow a lot from Mario Bava, obviously, but we're gonna pump this out, and it's gonna showcase slasher films, kind of capitalizing, I guess, off of Halloween and Black Christmas, but in a different setting. And I think it works. I think I think Friday the 13th Part 1 is a really good horror film. And if you take it just by itself as a standalone film, it's really good. If you put it in the group, like I said, I think it loses a little bit just because it doesn't fit in the whole mythos of what the Friday the 13th films are. And I think that being said, I still give it a 7 out of 10. I think it's a film that anybody who claims to be a horror fan should know, should see. It's just part of who we are as fans. That is the precursor to the Jason craze, basically. And outside of Halloween 1, that's really what helps set off everything as far as the mainstream horror was Friday the 13th. I think Halloween was big, but you gotta remember Halloween 3, even though now it's looked at as a very good movie, back then Halloween 3 tanked a Halloween series. So Friday the 13th came out and started pumping movies every year, and then Freddy came out in '84, and that started helping pump out more movies. And Friday the 13th is what kept the horror craze in the '80s. Between Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street is what kept it alive. And you have more copycats of Friday the 13th than you do of Nightmare on Elm Street. And I think that's more telling of where it is in the horror genre and as far as what it represents, that it's like upper echelon. You have your time periods in horror. You have the Universal stuff, then you have the Hammer stuff coming later. You have the 50s sci-fi movies and stuff. But the 80s was slasher, and that generation of horror fan that was alive in that time basically became a horror fan because of Friday the 13th. Like I said, Halloween started it, and Halloween's a way better film. Halloween 2's up there, it's really good, but Halloween 3 tanked it. Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street kept it going, and I think that we see later on what the Friday the 13th films became with Jason X and Jason Goes to Hell, and even Freddy vs. Jason, and we don't see what it was back then and what it did for everything. And as far as horror, it just, you got to give it to it that it's one of those movies that just helped the genre as a whole. Second film I watched was The Void. I heard so many good things about this movie. I heard that it was very reminiscent of H.P. Lovecraft and had this mythos type feel to it. And going into it, I was afraid that I was building up in my head that it was going to be such a letdown and everything, and it really wasn't. It was definitely a fun movie. It's awesome, just to catch on Netflix and everything. Good gore, good scenes of terror and this isolation. It kind of has a Thing feel, but in a hospital, and that they can't get out because of this cult around them and everything. And it just has this it does have an H.P. Lovecraft feel to it, but a little further along. Towards the end of the movie, you get more of an H.P. Lovecraft feel. In the beginning, you just kind of get this cult feeling. These cult people are obviously bad, and they're doing all this stuff. And the best thing about it is probably the gore, and the acting's actually good for a bunch of actors that are low-key actors that you really don't see in a lot of stuff. They definitely knock it out of the park, and they do excellent in it. towards the end, it does get a little crazy. But if you're a Lovecraft fan, you'll like where it goes, because it feels like it's going right down, like opening up the parallel dimension stuff, and getting into all that with what's down there and everything, and it definitely works in that sense. So The Void, I also give a 7 out of 10. Definitely a film I'm gonna look at picking up, because it's something I want to put in the collection, and I want to start cutting this down to movies I don't really watch, and just getting the movies I'll rewatch all the time. So definitely something I would pick up. So 2 movies last night, but 2 good movies. Friday the 13th and The Void, both getting 7 out of 10. Today's shirt is another Horror Block t-shirt. It's the horror totem pole. You got Leatherface, you got Freddy, Michael, Pinhead. Jason's actually not on it, which I was kind of shocked, after I just gave that whole, thesis on where Jason is in the horror and where Friday the 13th is in the horror genre. But another good shirt. This was Horror Block. Kind of wish they were still around, because they did have some good shirts. So I am Dark God, and I will catch you on the flip side.